You're listening to Hibs Talk. I'm your host as always, Gav. Joining me today is Dave.
Alright.
And Stuart.
Alright, Gav.
Very special episode. We've got our pre-final phone-in. Been too long since we've been doing a phone-in. To be fair, for those that like a phone-in, Dave, you have been poking me saying do a phone-in for months now, so I apologise. It's me that's been at fault.
Aye, they're a pain in the arse to put together, and they're a pain in the arse to edit, but I don't do the editing and I don't put it together, so I didn't really care. Do you know what I mean? We're getting a wee theme here. I just like speaking to other folk, because the folk that we have on the podcast regularly, like Stuart and Craig and Stephen and that, are shite. So I like speaking to different people, you see.
I think it's something we have to realise, that if we let other people onto this podcast, they'll realise how easy it is and that anyone can do it. We need to kind of keep this above a pedestal to kind of maintain our stature in the Hibs ranks.
Yeah.
To be fair, phone-ins have been handy in the past. I mean, Dave, Stuart came on as a phone-in guest and we've not got rid of him.
That's why he's sitting there. Aye, exactly.
So you say handy. It's more of a Stockholm situation that we've got going here.
As long as we're willing to admit it and admit what is and accept what is. But yeah. Like I say, we're actually recording a bit behind the scenes. We're recording this afterwards. It's a brilliant guest today. All the guys spoke absolutely brilliantly. Everyone really excited for the cup. Some people a bit more nervous than me. I don't know why. We're going to win it. So yeah, we'll have a really enjoyable show. But yeah, thanks to all the guys for coming on, and hope you enjoy. Yeah, so joining us now is Laird. Laird, how you getting on?
I'm good, Gavin. Thank you. Nice to talk to you.
Thanks for coming on.
Listening to you.
Perfect. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good, you?
Oh, living the dream, mate. How was work today?
It was shit.
Oh, fair enough.
Good news. Friday, Saturday, Edinburgh City Post Office will be bedecked in green and white balloons.
Oh, good stuff.
We're having a green weekend.
Love that.
Nothing to do with the manager in charge.
The best bit of all is, as you know, I've got a young Hearts supporter on the counter. He will be wearing green and white on Friday and Saturday.
Oh, that is brilliant. What's his opinions to that matter?
Say again?
What's his opinions to that?
He's not very happy.
Ah, fuck him.
But you know what? If he wants an appraisal done.
That's it. You like working, son? Aye, there you go.
Exactly, aye.
So what's your thoughts ahead of the game on Saturday?
Well, obviously the cup final coming up on Saturday is uppermost in all our thoughts now. It's been a funny kind of build up to the cup final, whereas normally we're all excited and organising how to get to Hampden, where we're going to be and all that type of thing. Not to be going there and try to think what's the best way to watch the game. Do we do it with pals? Do we do it in a pub? Or do we just sit in the house and watch it? We've got about 60 Glasgow Hibbies all head into a pub over in the south side, well away from Ibrox, to watch the game outside. In a pub that didn't have a beer garden, but all of a sudden it's produced one so that they can accommodate us. So that'll be interesting. But just funny feelings building up to it. I think getting really bit excited today as you're starting to get closer and you're reading some of the interviews on Twitter and social media. I'm really looking forward to it. I really think, I've said for a while that, and I hope this doesn't come back to haunt me, I think our name is on the cup. I think we've been fortunate with a couple of decisions on the way through to the final, which we are not notorious for getting. And I just want to believe that the same thing's going to happen in the final, and the winning goal's about 3 yards offside. I don't care as long as we win.
Who do you think is going to be the star performer for us on Saturday, Laird?
Well, I think the midfield's going to be absolutely crucial. Front, Boyle, Nisbet, Dodge, great, and the threat that they pose. But I think the ammunition for them is going to be crucial. We need to get the ball into them in important areas. And obviously building for the back. I've been absolutely delighted to see Darren McGregor back in the team. I think he fits into what we're going to need against St Johnstone. I think it's something we've missed in games we've played them in this season, and in particular in the semi-final. So Aye, I think midfield absolutely crucial, but everything around about him as well. I feel confident about the goalie. Probably in years gone by, it was for a while a weak link, but I think with Marciano was great, and I think Macy could be even better.
I mean, myself and Stuart spoke about it on the previous podcast, 100, episode 161. Thank you, Rocky, which you can get wherever you listen to your podcast. But yeah, Stuart, you and me spoke about the centre back pairings and the possible partnerships. Laird, who would you spoke about McGregor there? So who would be your starting centre backs?
You know, it was interesting. I was looking today at some stats, and I'm astonished that Ryan has only played 90 games for Hibs. And it feels as though he's been there for a long time now. And when he came in as a raw young laddie, that seems ages ago when we were all sitting at Easter Road and loving the fact that this new young boy was breaking into the team. Darren, who hasn't been with us that long, is nearly at 200, 172. So I tend to think experience-wise, McGregor and Hanlon would be my obvious choice. But there's a bit of me would like to see McGregor and Porteous, I think. And that might be controversial because Hanlon's the captain. But I just feel against St Johnstone, they can notoriously rough us up. Kane and the big guys at Melamed, you call them, are dangerous. And I just feel that maybe Porteous and McGregor would deal with them a bit better.
Dave, I know you weren't on the previous podcast. How are you feeling about it centre back wise? It's a really tricky one, a tough decision for Jack Ross.
Yeah, I think I agree with Laird. I think Darren McGregor would be ideally suited for playing against St Johnstone, and it's just when balls are coming in the box, like you spoke about it in the last pod with Ali as well, and it just would make complete sense to have him. And I know what he means with Ryan Porteous as well, because he's a bit more aggressive than Hanlon. But Hanlon is, well, stats wise, if we're looking at stats, is one of the best defenders in the league this year. I said to you guys when we were sitting having a drink last weekend that I would probably drop Paul McGinn, and again, that seems equally as harsh. But having the three proper centre halves, Hanlon, McGinn, and Porteous, would probably be the way I would go with Boyle wing back, and then that you've got a good balance. But I don't know, but see what happens.
I'm honestly not sure if it's a good or a bad headache for Jack Ross to have, because there's not really a wrong or bad answer. But there's still going to be people saying, "Oh, why didn't he?"
You can make a case for any of the three of them to play, and it's a good point, David. You're saying about dropping McGinn, and McGinn's been great for us this year. But the balance-wise, that would fit in perfect. You know, the Hanlon on the left side, McGregor middle, whatever way they want to do it. But you could equally make a case for Paul McGinn being there. The only I felt about Paul McGinn was Murrow kind of targeted him in the quarter final. You know, in that horrible last 10 minutes or 15 minutes when what do you call him? Tony Watt, was it? Tony Watt came on. And he did kind of get caught out when I was screaming for McGregor to come on and, just clear the box day in. And the one thing about McGregor, and I'm a wee bit older than you guys, I just think a centre-half should play centre-half. And McGregor does that. There's nails and graces. He's not going to try and play the ball across the box or play World Cup balls. He's quite happy to clear his lines and do the dirty side of defending. And, in a cup game, one-off, that's what we need. We've not had that over the years, traditionally, to have somebody that just plays, bang, traditional old centre-half, defend, do the easy thing, and let the football players do the work.
I think I completely agree with you about the fact I think they did target that area, and I think McGinn was at fault, but I think it was also the fact that Boyle had ran up and down the park for 90 minutes and was that right wing back position, the kind of when he was struggling to get back or out of position, because at the end of the day he's not a defender. I think if we are in a winning position, which fingers crossed and we are going to be in a winning position, we're going to win the whole thing. I'm so confident, but I think. Like you say, I think, we're screaming for McGregor. Come on, I think that's the play. I think McGregor coming on with 15 minutes to go to help see out the game. That's just my opinion, but that's what I would do. Potentially putting Boyle up top for the counter-attack, especially at the big pitch at Hampden. I don't know who you take off with Doidge or Nisbet, but obviously we're getting into, potential things when the game's not even started yet. But yeah, I mean, it's a real selection headache. But I'm sure one Jack Russell I'll thrive on, hopefully. Yeah. So what's your score predictions for the game then, Laird?
I'm going for 2-1 to Hibs. And normal time to. No extra time, please. Just do it in 90 minutes and let's get out and celebrate.
Yeah.
I do think we need to go 1-0 up. I think if they go 1-0 up, I'll be a wee bit concerned because that's what they want, and they're an absolute pain in the arse to break down. They'd love to just to sit on a 1-0. So yeah.
It was interesting, David, when St Johnstone played Aberdeen recently, and Aberdeen beat them 1-0. Them going 1-0 down, they didn't seem to be able to handle it. I know they had chances in that, but Aberdeen did what Aberdeen did. They just killed the game completely. And, it's interesting the last couple of games, Celtic, the Aberdeen game up at Pittodrie, we've kind of played a bit like that, just stifling the game and, playing the percentage football rather than trying elaborate stuff. And maybe that's what we need to do a wee bit of Mary against St Johnstone rather than attack. Then I think back to the semi-final, first half, we were so much on top until they scored. And then it was like, it all got into the head a bit and it just all went pear-shaped second half.
Yeah, I agree. I think the longer it is like 0-0 and just let the game calm down a wee bit and then see what happens. I'd quite fancy them just to probably sit and then try to break us, but you just didn't want to give them an opportunity to do what they do best, and that's just sit on a lead. We need to get them coming out of us, and then we can do what we do best at that point if they need to open up, which is punish them. And that front three's in decent form, and I think they would punish them. I think if we go 1-0 up early doors, we'll win by a couple.
Yeah, I think like Laird sort of said there, that's two good games to come off of in terms of practicing seeing out a lead when you don't have the ball. So if we do have a lead and St Johnstone have got a lot of the ball, a Celtic game where Celtic had like 73% possession over the whole game, I can't remember the exact stat, and an Aberdeen second half where Aberdeen needed a goal and we're seeing it out. I think that's two clean sheets we can be proud of. And if we get, like say, that the aim has to be, another 45 minutes like the last one, where we play really well but don't take our chances, we're going to be in trouble. I think if we do have a 45 minutes like that, we need to be taking the chances, and then I think we're in a good position to see out the game going off the last few games, which is encouraging. Yeah. So we'll leave it there, Laird. So thank you very much for coming on and give us your thoughts ahead of the game. Enjoy the game on Saturday.
Yeah, all the best, guys, and keep up the good work.
Brilliant. Really appreciate that.
Cheers, Laird.
Cheers.
See you at the West Stand soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Bye.
So joining us now is Greg. Greg, how you getting on?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks yourself.
Yeah, good. So what was you wanting? I know a bit of a silly question, but what was you wanting to chat about today?
The first point was does Daz start and does Hallberg start on Saturday?
Question straight out of the bit there. Well done, Greg.
Yeah, we just had a chat there, and I think I was the only one that sort of said McGregor shouldn't be starting. I'd maybe had him coming off the bench to kind of see out the game. But I've seen a lot of people saying McGregor should start. What's your thoughts on it, Greg? Should he be starting on Saturday?
I think the way that St Johnstone are, they're a team that at set plays, that's where they're strong. Whereas someone like McGregor, he's brilliant at that. He'll handle that no bother. I think we've seen in the League Cup semi-final that's where we sort of let ourselves down, defending set pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I think as well, like, see, informed players like should be playing in the cup final. Like, I get what folk are saying, Porteous has played this many games, or Paul McGinn's played this many games. I just think when it comes to the sentiment, that can sometimes trip you up. I think if you play your informed players, and at the end of the day, he's deserved it. Like that game against Celtic, he was an absolute beast.
Aye.
So who's the out? Well, maybe not out of form, but who's the player not in form that you dropped then?
I would say Porteous.
I thought Porteous was brilliant against Celtic. Maybe not man of the match, but I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I think that sometimes with cross balls he gets a bit caught out with them. So I feel that Darren McGregor would be the obvious replacement for him there. Porteous can be a bit suspect at cross balls, and that's just a bit immaturity. He will get better at that, but
it's definitely a tough one. And you also mentioned about Hallberg there. Who would you start him, and who do you see him coming in for?
This is a tough one because it would be between him and Gogic, and Gogic has been really decent as well. So that I'm really split 50-50 on that. I really don't know what the outcome of that would be. I think you could literally. What was that?
I think the season that Gogic has had, you're absolutely right, has been fantastic. He has been what we've been desperately missing in that midfield. Some of the stats that he had, I think it was against Aberdeen, were just absolutely stunning.
I've got them here. He had an 81.8% pass rate, 100% dribble success, 100% aerial duel success, 63% ground duels, 4 clearances, 2 block shots, 1 interceptions, and 3 tackles.
And a partridge in a pear tree. What more do you want from Gogic? It's fantastic.
But at the same time, we're obviously playing at Hampden again, Dave. I mean, Hallberg strolled it at Hampden. It's easy for me to say. Hallberg strolled it at Hampden against Dundee United.
He did. Yeah. He had a good game, and I know he was played well at a position against Celtic, but when he's came in the last couple of games, he has done all right. But for me, I think he would needed to have done a bit more to deserve a starting place. I would still start Gogic, but I think he's shown that Hallberg's maybe a bit more than just a squad player that we've all kind of thought. Because I thought squad player Virgin on not good enough. He needs to probably go. Whereas next season, I'd probably be quite happy if he stayed, and then it was a squad player and was coming on to, because he's quite clearly got something to contribute.
Potentially stupid comment, is Hallberg more of a cup player? Because what he did against Dundee United, and he came off the bench to really kind of help us in the extra time against Motherwell as well, he was a good impact on both of those games. So I think I would agree with you that I wouldn't necessarily be starting him, but I'll not be disappointed if we see him coming on at any point.
No, not with that.
I think he's looked the strongest he's looked in a Hibs shirt the last few games that he's played, and it definitely is encouraging going into next season that he could maybe stake a claim going forward. But yeah,
what's his contract like? I don't even know. Has he got a year left?
I could look that up in a second. But I mean, like you sort of touched on there, Greg. It's great that there's a lot of players that are going to be, if they're left out, they're going to be unfortunate to be left out. It's not like we're struggling to pick a strongest 11. If no matter who gets left out, you're going to end up feeling sorry for somebody, and that's credit to how the team's been performing recently.
Yeah.
Aye.
100%.
So what's your score predictions for the game, and how you feeling ahead of the game?
Nervous. More nervous than I should be facing St Johnstone in a cup final.
Greg, thank you for being honest. Everybody else, I'm with you, 100%. Everyone else is saying, oh yeah, quietly confident, or no, I'm feeling positive. No, none of this. I'm a bag of nerves already. Me and you, Greg, absolutely.
I'm a Hibs fan going into a cup final.
No nerves, we're winning the cup, full stop.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So what was your score prediction for the game, Greg?
You just don't want to say it, doesn't want to drink.
I'm terrible at it.
Didn't say it. Didn't say it, and then we'll not get the blame if it's jinxed. They didn't want you to say it, then you blame us.
Normally, what I say it's the opposite. So should I go for a St Johnstone?
Aye, try it. Go, get a go.
Go for 2-1 St Johnstone then.
Right, no worries, mate.
If that actually happens, then they hate me. That's not what I want.
Aye, no. We'll pass everybody your details.
Right. Well, you enjoy the game on Saturday. Thanks for coming on, Greg.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks.
Cheers for that. Thanks again, mate. I really appreciate that.
Aye, no worries. Good.
I'll let you.
I've been listening to the start
a bit longer if you want.
Aye, a wee bit peace and quiet. I've snuck a beer out with me as well. So I think I might just savour this first.
I love that.
Right, cheers, guys.
Thanks again for coming on. Cheers, Greg. Bye. Next up was James, who gave us his thoughts on the meeting so far against St Johnstone this season ahead of Saturday's Cup final.
Yeah, I'm just the same as you, and I'm not able to think about anything other than the final, basically. No, genuinely, my main thing that I'm going to bring up is I'm totally agonising over the team, because I've noticed something going over the 5 games that we played against St Johnstone this season so far, which is Deutsch and Nesbitt have never started together. Now, some of that's from availability. I mean, Kevin Nesbitt presumably injured for the first one that we won up at McDermott Park, and obviously took a knock in the game and missed the one against St Johnstone Easter Road just there. But a few times both Deutsch and Nesbitt have been available, including in the semi, and Jack Ross has opted not to start them together, which begs the question, is there a tactical reason for that, or is it the case that we start Deutsch, Nesbitt and Boyle together on Saturday and then just watch the goals roll in?
Yeah, I mean, Dave, the 3 of them are playing really well just now. The fact that those 3 haven't kind of started, and obviously the 2, but obviously with Boyle as well, the 3 of them haven't started and being on form at the same time against St Johnstone means we maybe should be a bit more confident in the previous meetings.
Yeah, I was going to say that actually helps me a wee bit, because that is an absolute start that I didn't know. So that gives me a wee bit more confidence when it comes to when, for example, worrying about previous results against St Johnstone, because it does lie in the back of your head that they've got one over us and they're living rent free in Jack Ross's head. So the fact that them 3 have not been given a chance to cause them a problem would maybe be a wee bit of a wild card to them, because we know what to expect for St Johnstone. We're not going to get a surprise, whereas this might be a surprise for St Johnstone.
Yeah, the only player that scored a winner against St Johnstone for us this season is now playing over in Turkey. And that's what a penalty for Stevie Malin in the last minute, so it's not like we can rely on him either. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned the team selection there as well, James. How are you sort of feeling how do you feel Jack Ross will go?
Well, big question is what do you do in midfield? Because, I mean, a part of me thinks that with St Johnstone just being such a physical side and Hallberg having played quite well, do you drop Newell, put in Hallberg just to play that kind of stop and roll? Or do we stick to our principles as actually trying to be a football team? I mean, no offence to Hallberg, but he's not a footballer that Joe Newell is. I mean, I'm actually quite glad that Macy's playing, because one thing that Macy gives you is he commands the box, right? He's got that. I don't know. I just think it's set pieces to be useful. I think, is everybody united that Darren McGregor's got to be in ahead of Porto? I mean, I've not spoken to anyone this week that doesn't favour Dazzle over Porto.
I seem to be the only one going for Porteous. I've said this a couple of times tonight already. I would bring Darren McGregor on with 20 or 15 minutes to go when we're 2-0 up to see out the game, because we're going to win the game. But yeah, I would have Darren McGregor come off the bench, and I'd start Porteous. I think him and Hanlon have developed a really good partnership over the season. I understand what people are saying about the threats for, yeah. But I mean, Dave, we sort of mentioned about we were speaking to the last guy. We were speaking about, Hallberg or Gogic, and James has sort of pointed out there, is there potential for both, or do you see Newell playing?
Yeah, and this actually came up on Open Goal. I don't know if any of you listen to Open Goal, but they were talking about the fact that St Johnstone normally play with 2 sitting midfielders. So would Hibs possibly go with that, or would they just play with Gogic and then have Newell and Irvin up in front? And I think Andy Halliday, Hun Bastard, said he thinks that Hibs would go with Irvin and Newell and Gogic, and I probably think the same. But it's definitely an option that James has just said to do that, because that would maybe help with the physical side, and basically that's what St Johnstone are good at. But Newell gives you that calmness on the ball. So see if the game is a wee bit frantic, he just slows the ball down, and he does it like Dylan McGeoch-esque, like just a metronome. So if he can control the game, but if we go 1-0 up, I think Joe Newell would be important for controlling the game, maybe calming it down a wee bit.
Well, not only that, but we're going to be trying to play out a press for the best part of 90 minutes. I mean, if you look at the 2 that St Johnstone got at Easter Road, they both come from pressing, right? Mm-hmm. And if you've got somebody that can pick out a quality distance pass at Easter Road, it's Joe Newell.
Yeah, great point as well.
And for me as well, Joe Newell's never somebody that seems to panic on the ball. He's always got another twist or turn, a bit of movement that can just create a little bit more space. And then we've got the pace of Martin Boyle to kind of hit them.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a big one that Martin Boyle's basically been getting kicked all season, and he doesn't get 10 days off very often, whereas he's had that after the Aberdeen game. I don't know. I mean, in my moments where I'm trying to trick myself into believing that we're going to win the game, because, I mean, at points, I've just been thinking about all the finals I've watched as an adult, and, it's getting up to, this will be the 7th now, and it's beginning to feel, I can't decide if I'm feeling like the Livy game where I just kind of decided, yeah, we're definitely going to win this game, or if I've got that kind of magic feeling that we had in 2016, where I always thought we could do it. Even with the misery of the Falkirk game, I always thought there was something special about that team. But I don't know. The problem is St Johnstone seem to have a hex on everybody right now. They're just a nightmare to score against. But on the other hand, that we've got that stat. You're talking about stats here. If Boyle, Nesbitt and Deutsch finish a game, one always scores. Always. Every time that's happened this season, one's always scored. Now, I know that's a bit flawed because the idea is they wouldn't have been subbed if one scored or so on. But, it's an interesting way of looking at the game. In terms of the other thing I was going to ask about is the Jackson Irvine thing. How many midfielders does Aberdeen need?
Yeah, this is about the Aberdeen day, isn't it, though? This is about the papers and that day in general, just link stuff when Hibs have got a big game. But Aberdeen definitely didn't.
The fact that Nisbet was linked with Celtic the week we played Celtic, things like this happen all the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is Aberdeen's scouting system. It's just what our Hibs up to. But I wouldn't rule it out. But I'm quietly confident that Jackson Irvine's going to stay. But I've got no insight to that actually happening. But I don't know. I think he's been a big part of not only the more consistent results, but I think there's been better team performances since he came in. I think a lot of people sometimes see people saying, he's having a quiet game, or I don't even think he's doing that much. I'm like, nah, but he's helping the team have a lot more balance, and we're having better performances as a result. I think he's a massive part of how successful we've been the second half of the season, and I'd be desperate to see him stay. What's your thoughts been on Jackson Irvine, James?
Oh, he was immense in the Dundee United game. Absolutely immense. I mean, that kind of higher role that Jack Ross has had him in the Dundee United game, the Aberdeen game, I think that's vital. I really want to see him playing in that role on the final on Saturday, because I think that'll be huge. But also, I just wonder, why does it always happen to us? I mean, you look at St Johnstone right now, they are a club that realistically, no disrespect to St Johnstone, but most clubs would feel they could afford St Johnstone players. They're having a massive amount of success. There's not, besides maybe a wee bit of speculation for us, for Liam Kerr, they're not having to deal with stories like this week. Whereas, that Boyle story, I almost feel like the Red Tops came up with that just to unsettle him. I mean, even he's come out and said, no, that's not necessarily the case. I don't know. I might get my tinfoil hat on here, or if certain sections of the media kind of, decided like Hibs have got a big game, better start trying to unsettle people. Because I mean, genuinely, this would. I mean, if Irvine did go to Aberdeen, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's a nonsense story. But if it did, that would make him the fourth central midfielder that Aberdeen have done this to us with, which I just find a wee bit. Why would you do that?
Yeah. I can't see it happening either. The fact that Lewis Ferguson's obviously handed in a transfer request today, it's been rejected, that'll probably add a wee bit of fuel to the fire over the next couple of days, to be fair. With Irvine maybe going to go up and replace. But I think it's the papers just been like, right, big games, who's going to be in the papers, what fans are going to be reading news, right, let's create this story, because they'll see it and then they'll talk and they'll share our links. I think that's a big part of it, to be fair.
Yeah, because I would explain why not St Johnstone, because again, with no disrespect to St Johnstone, you're looking at a club that's got 3,000 season ticket holders.
Yeah.
So realistically, how many of them are, how many people there are definitely buying a paper because there's St Johnstone story in it. Whereas, Hibs, second biggest city in Scotland, you're going to sell papers.
Ali McCann for St Johnstone should be getting linked with teams though. I agree when you say that they seem to keep their good players, and with the exception of over the last few years they lost May, then they got him back, O'Halloran got him back. So, but I think Ali McCann's got decent potential to go somewhere like.
And likewise, I'm going to be honest, when we were linked with Liam Kerr, part of me thought, fine, if we need some kind of replacement for Porto, that's someone pretty much good to go. Yeah. Because defenders from the youth system, it's rare that you get a Porteous type player who can come and play an essential defensive role in his teens. I mean, generally doesn't happen. Normally you have to do your apprenticeship at fullback for at least half a decade before you're ready to go and play in the middle. So generally speaking, if we're going to have to replace Porto, that's going to have to come from somewhere outside of Easter Road, East Mains. So, Liam Kerr would have done as a replacement. But the point is, we've got a final to win. We don't need to speculate on this. And I will. I have asked the question before, but I will reiterate it again. Is there some tactical reason that we've maybe not gone with the whole 2 up top thing? Because there have been 3 occasions where Jack Ross has had the option to do that against St Johnstone. He's opted not to.
Potentially. I think, Jack Ross does seem like a manager that doesn't just, I always remember a quote from Arsene Wenger is like, he doesn't need to worry about too much about opposition. They go out and they play their game. And I'm like, that's so disrespectful. I think Jack Ross really does look at the opposition, looks at their strengths and looks how to best break them down. At the same time, if that's his thinking of, if he's not gone with 2 up top because he thinks that's going to benefit us, it's not worked. So he needs to try something different this time round. And we're playing well. Maybe need a wee bit of that arrogance.
He's probably tried to pack out the midfield, and then because he's maybe in a battle, and then playing with wingers to try and keep Booth and Rooney quiet. It's maybe been that type of thing. Because the problem with St Johnstone is they're obviously really good aerial threat. So if you're letting them go down the wings and then they're swinging balls in the box, then we've got a problem. And they're quite good at pinning you in. So somebody else, in fact, you just said about beating the press. That's been a St Johnstone thing for a wee while. We went up to Perth, Gav, I don't know if you can remember, and we were watching the game and we just couldn't get out our half. And I was like, how the hell are St Johnstone just pinning us in? It was ridiculous.
Was that the Omiyunga pass to McNulty in the last minute? Or was that a different game? Because we've been a few times, I know, but I'm just trying to...
I think it might have been that game. That wasn't the same game we won 4-1, was it?
No,
that was
a night game.
I think it probably would have been that game then, but I just felt like we were just getting pinned in for a while. So, yeah.
It's one. I forgot the point I was going to make. The thing is, like you sort of said, we've not played our strongest 11. I think St Johnstone tend to play that 3-5-2, like Dave spoke about there. Rooney right back, Booth left back, the 3 centre backs, 3 in midfield, and then the 2 up top, or the 1 drops deeper. I don't see why if we go like for like, that's how our team sets up. I don't see why we can't beat them man for man, and we've never had our strongest 11 up against them. So I'm very confident, and I think we've got the right balance of the team. We've got no injuries, everyone's in form. I feel great about this cup. I'm trying to calm myself down, but I can't. I'm feeling great about it. Stuart?
Yeah.
I think the big one is don't give away set pieces. These guys thrive on set pieces. A free kick outside the box for them is probably as good, if not better, than a corner, to be honest. Basically, Rooney, if he gets to something, you're probably not stopping it. That first goal in the semi, we had a man on the post, and it still went in, which is depressing as anything, because, normally football fans console themselves going, oh, should have been a man on the post. Well, there was a man on the post, still went in. And, he's done that to so many teams this season. And my only worry about Gogic is, Gogic is fantastic, but, he gives you that aerial ability at set pieces, but he also gives away set pieces. So, what do you do there? Do you opt for Hallberg, who's less likely to give stuff away, but might not give you the same physicality that Gogic does?
Yeah. No,
I'm starting Gogic in the game for me, just for him to be able to break down that midfield. We know St Johnstone are going to attack the midfield. We know they're going to press. We know they're going to be on us. Give us a little bit of steel in there. And again, as we were kind of talking earlier, it allows Newell to free up a little bit more for me as well in the middle of the park.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So we'll finish up then, James. What's your score prediction for the game then? How are you feeling for it a bit?
Right. I'll be optimistic. Christian Deutsch has scored in every single round. Realistically, I think to beat St Johnstone, we have to keep a clean sheet, but I also think we can do it. The Aberdeen game has really given me, we've kept 3 clean sheets on the bounce. I think it'll be 4. I'm going 1-0 Hibs.
Ooh, that'd be a nervy last few minutes. Been 1-0 up. But
we'll score in the first 4 minutes for the longest cup final ever.
Fine. I would take. I don't care when it comes. so long as it comes. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I'll take a Jason Kerr on goal. I've said that before. Let's just get it done. But yeah, like I say, thank you very much for coming on, James. And you enjoy the game on Saturday. Brilliant. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Cheers,
mate.
James.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thanks, James.
Bye.
Bye.
So joining us now from the Strong Opinion Hibs podcast is Calvin. Calvin, how are you getting on?
I get on fine, thanks. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Pleasure to have you on. So, I mean, it's a bit of a silly question ahead of the cup final, but what is it you want to have a chat about today?
Just the cup final in general, just to see how you guys are thinking about it and what other people are thinking about it. To be honest with you, like, I've not got that many mates that are Hibs supporters, so it's good to sort of jump in and see what you guys are thinking. But I'm feeling pretty confident for this weekend. What about yourselves?
We're winning the cup. Full stop.
It's just a weird feeling. That's what I was just saying. So, like, this cup final is different from other cup finals. Like, we're going in expecting maybe to win, and that hoodoo's not there anymore. So it's weird. I feel nervous, but
yeah,
I kind of do feel confident. I take it you're quite confident.
I feel confident. I don't know what it is. I feel like a couple cup finals, like in semi-finals recently, like the Ross County Cup final, I just feel like we'd hit like a bad bit of form leading up to that, and we were unfortunate to lose that. Semi-final against Hearts. I mean, I thought we were a good side. We played well. It was just unlucky, really. And then the St Johnstone one just passed when we got pumped out 3-0. I thought we started the better of the two teams and we looked really good. And it's just like, it just feels like we've hit good form this time, and I just feel pretty confident about it. Like, and I've never felt this way about a cup final before. And the only feeling I can really link it to is that 2016 cup final. Like, I knew we were winning that day. Like, I just knew Rangers weren't that great a side, and I just thought we were pretty good. And I think we're just hitting our stride now.
Yeah, sure. I mean, everyone's like, there's so many players you could think of in the team just now are in form, and even players that probably aren't going to play on Saturday are in form at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Calvin correctly pointed out the semi-final against St Johnstone started really well, but if you look at that team, we had Nisbet not in good form, we had Boyle not in good form, Irvin still hadn't really kind of trained with us, Cadden wasn't fit, and some lapse in judgment in defence. We seem to have ironed that out. So I think we're rightly kind of positive going into the game. I'm not going to go as far as saying the C word, but I think it's something that we are looking forward to. But Dave correctly said it's a strange cup final because the St Johnstone fans are probably confident going in as well. And neither of us are showing typical kind of old firm arrogance. We're just kind of backing our teams, which hopefully should make for a good game. It's just a shame there's no fans there.
Ridiculous. I mean, is it no Tottenham Aston Villa right now as we're recording playing, and that's got 20,000 fans, and why can we just play a stadium down in England and get 20,000 Hibs fans in?
Yeah,
crazy. But yeah, I mean,
somewhere near Ramsgate, that'd be lovely.
What about the previous? You sort of touched on it there, Calvin. But the previous meetings against St Johnstone, how does that kind of make you feel going into the game? I think that's the on the bounce that they've got.
I think I don't like the idea of bogey teams, because if I'm honest with you, I think we've probably got 11 bogey teams sometimes, it feels like. But no, I think that goes out the window. I mean, you could look past when we beat them 4-1 up in Perth when Doidge scored. Was it the hat-trick he scored that game? I think it was. Yeah. So it swings and roundabouts. I mean, we've definitely got enough to beat them, so I wouldn't think that would influence the game at all. If anything, I think big questions could be asked of the team, and potentially Ross, who I am a fan of, but if he does lose this one to St Johnstone, that'll be, we've played them several times. He's had a look at them, their formation, the way they set up, and like he's still not been able to beat them or break them down. That would be quite worrying. But I think the last couple meetings and things, I think, to be honest with you, I think there's a different dynamic as well, because I feel like the pressure's on them to do the cup double, perhaps. Whereas I think having won the cup 5 years ago, if we do go and lose it, it will be depressing. Like, it will definitely put a dampener on the season. But one of the things I was thinking about this team in particular is I think it would be a shame if they were remembered as the team that lost the cup. rather than like a really good team who was able to achieve third place.
That's a good point, because it feels like managers sometimes get that. Like, so Alan Stubbs, for example, like, great manager. And Calvin, I was listening to your last podcast that you've done, and you were talking about managers and what levels, like, where would you rank Jack Ross if they obviously won the cup? And it's the amount of people that say, but Alan Stubbs got lucky. Like, if, like, we've Craig for our podcast, he's not a legend, because if he nearly didn't win the cup, and then he would have failed this and he failed that and he would have failed this. Well, he fucking did win it though. So, like, do you know what I mean? What chance he got? Whereas I think kind of the same along the lines of you guys. Like, if Jack Ross wins this, then one opportunity. But at the same time, if he doesn't win it, I want to look at it and be like, Kim, still finished third, still got to a cup final, still an improvement. At the end of the day, finishing second in a cup final shouldn't be a sackable offence. You finished second. Like, you've got silver medals. Silver medals are celebrated all our sport, but a cup final, or sometimes finishing runner up in a cup, is like, you'd rather just go at the first round. You'd rather die of Hearts and just get beat off Brora.
Yeah, you're right. You make a good point there as well. And I think just on that, the fact that looking at the managers, we put out a wee poll last night, or I put one out because I was interested, and it's just about, in my lifetime, probably the best Hibs manager than now is Alan Stubbs, considering he's the only one that was able to win the cup. But we put out a poll, like, where would Jack Ross rank if he did win this cup? Would he be the best? And I think you've probably seen a few more managers than me, but he'd certainly be up there.
Low blow.
Nah, I'm not meaning that.
I think in terms of the last, 20 years, I know he didn't win a cup, but Mowbray always ranks quite highly for me because he had a young team, finished third, and he played attractive football. I sometimes get criticised for being too focused on attractive football, but I like enjoying the football. Maybe at the same time, maybe we fantasize. I know, a lot of people say that it wasn't that good, but I thought it was some really exciting stuff under Mowbray, and I think we've started to see that second half of the season under Ross. So we're definitely making steps towards that. But yeah, I mean, it's a really tough one in terms of where he ranks. Guys, what do you think in terms of where he would rank in terms of recent years?
No, I think when Calvin started there, my mind immediately went to Mowbray. I'm going to back you up there. Bobby Williamson obviously laid a lot of the groundwork in getting some of these players in, getting them first team football. However, some of the football under Mowbray, I want to say the first game at home in the league was against Kilmarnock. We lost 1-0, but we absolutely battered them. And no one was coming out of the stadium thinking, oh, here we go, as a long season ahead. We're thinking, if we keep playing that way, we're going to have a great time. And it came round that way. But Mowbray's almost suffering the same fate that Jack Ross is currently suffering, that he got us to a couple of semi-finals, got us further in competition, things like that. And we seemed to just kind of fall that final hurdle, the 2-1 defeat to Dundee United. I think it was a Jason Scotland double against us at Hampden within the space of about a minute as well. It was bloody awful. So those kind of clouds kind of always haunted Mowbray. But at the same token, there's a lot of people that will give John Collins's cup win to Mowbray because effectively it was his team.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think there's a couple of, there's that many players. I don't think that if we do win the cup, people are only going to say, oh, but it's Hecky's team. Jack Ross really has done quite a rebuild in the 18 months he's been there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, well, like I say, we've got a few more people to kind of get through today. So Calvin, we'll get your score predictions for the game on Saturday.
2-0 Hibs.
Love it. Love the confidence. And where can people
Hibs,
find yourself, and where can people find the podcast as well?
Yeah, so as you said earlier, me and my mate Charlie, we're on a Hibs podcast called Strong Opinion Hibs, and you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and recently Recast app. And the good thing about the Recast app is if you watch it on there, the money goes to Hibs, which is great as well. So everybody benefits. Hopefully help us keep Nisbet and Boyle, if we can. But we'll see. But perfect, boys. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate that. And hopefully we're all cheering on Saturday.
Yeah, brilliant. Appreciate that.
That was good, man.
Nice to meet you, Calvin.
Cheers.
Cheers, lads. Bye.
Cheers, man. Catch you in a bit. All right.
And joining us now is Douglas. Douglas, how you getting on?
Hi, how are you doing, guys?
Douglas.
Yeah, good.
Good, thanks, mate. Good to meet you.
Yeah, not bad.
So what was it you wanted to have a chat about today?
Yeah, so I'm from just outside Edinburgh, a place called Balerno, and a lot of my mates there are Celtic fans, and I know they've just come off the back of winning 4 trebles in a row, and they don't care about Scottish Cups or League Cups or the league if they lose a game in it anymore. So I was wondering, do you think it's right that clubs can get that way, and how do you think that there should be more like parity in the Scottish League so it's more fair for everyone?
That is an absolute belter there question.
Big question there.
Yeah, I wish I knew that question was coming.
I mean, to be fair, they did seem a wee bit upset, Celtic fans, when they lost the League Cup game. They did seem to react a wee bit there. But other than that, nah. I mean, Stuart, you told a story a few weeks ago in the podcast about your friend that didn't even realise Celtic had scored a third one.
Was in the 2013 Cup final. She left to beat the traffic. Absolutely crazy. I think there's always going to be a level of aspiration when it comes to football supporters. So yeah, if you are constantly winning the League Cup, constantly winning the FA Cup, then that next goal is then a European Cup. Take, for example, Man United of the 90s and noughties. Are they going to be doing cartwheels up and down the street by lifting the Worthington Cup as it might have been at the time? Probably not. Something like this. And I wouldn't want to find myself in that factor myself. Okay, I'd like Hibs to win a few more cups on a few more regular basis. But I think just recently quite a few Celtic fans have maybe been spoiled, and this season's kind of brought them back down to earth. But there's an insurance adjuster going to Peter Lawwell's house that shows that they do still care, rightly or wrongly. But I'm sure they'll come back stronger next year with a new manager.
Yeah, I'd rather win a cup than obviously we're not in that situation at all. Like being Hibs fans, we kind of be picky because we get the best we can get third and then try and win a cup. But I've never understood the logic of teams, especially you see it down south more than up here. Like teams like Burnley and fucking Leicester and that. Like I know Leicester a horrendous example because they just won the cup. So we'll go Burnley and like Newcastle and that. You know what I mean? Like resting in their team in the cups because they just want to try and stay in the league. What a sad existence for a football club and for to be a football fan. I would hate that, but it's good. It's good not just expecting to win every week. I think that's one thing that's good about being a Hibs fan. Like Rangers didn't get that buzz for winning, beating St Mirren at home, whereas we do. Like that makes my weekend. Whereas they didn't get that.
Douglas, do you feel there could be changes to the Scottish game to help with a bit more equality?
Oh yeah, I was thinking about it a bit, and like I think it hurts us a bit that like we play Celtic 4 times a season and Rangers 4 times a season, and they play each other all those times. Whereas like a Manchester derby or United Liverpool, that's a really rare occasion down there. Like everyone tunes in for those games. I know when United Liverpool is going to be on, and I don't particularly care about the Premier League. Whereas with us, it feels like you can get Celtic and Rangers playing each other 3 times in a month. If you're lucky, they can end up playing each other 6 times in a season if they meet each other in the cups, which I think they did this year? No, only once.
Yeah, no,
so 5.
I agree completely. And actually, one of my mates said this to me that he's like, one of my mates, he's like a Spurs fan. It's one of them shockers that he's Scottish, but he supports an English team. It's embarrassing. I'll apologise now that I'm even talking to the boy, but he said the same thing. He was like, why do you not just play each other twice? And I said, it was like, it's basically Sky want the 4 Old Firm games, and it's like all the smaller teams want the Old Firm gates. So I can't see it ever getting voted through. But he made a good point. Why don't they have like a Glasgow Cup so that the Old Firm can play each other like before it starts, and then that gives Sky their game. But I'd quite happily have a Glasgow Cup and an Edinburgh Cup and have that type of thing. That used to be a thing, didn't it? The Edinburgh Cup and
yeah, absolutely. Used to be. You also kind of do things like summer cups and things like that, and it was a big thing. It was always like a pre-season friendlies, but there was some good like tournaments and things like that. You would get a few more teams coming up from England to play as well. So. Yeah, there could be a thing with that. Maybe it's something you're going to start kind of seeing again in a little bit more in the future.
Douglas, what would be your solution to the 4 times a season? What would you do? Would you expand the league? Who would you bring in?
Well, it's hard because what is there, like 42 teams in Scotland or something across all 4 leagues, which probably isn't enough to fill up. You'd maybe get 2 leagues. and then the golfing class between Celtic and who would it be, like Alloa or something at the bottom of the Premiership might be too much. But then you see places like Holland and Belgium, they're like merging their two leagues soon. There's rumours of that and stuff. I was thinking, like, me and my mates, when the European Super League stuff was going on, we had an argument of scrapping both the Scottish League Cup and the English League Cup and having the British Super Cup. But then we were like, all the Scottish teams would just go out in the round of 34, whatever it'd be. But
yeah, that would probably be the case. But it would also England. I don't think England would take it seriously. Like, can you imagine Arsenal playing St Mirren? Like, they would just play other youngsters and that. I don't think
those top end clubs it'd be the same as them going away to Bury or something.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'd get any benefit. But if Celtic got to go and play Man United or Hibs got to play Newcastle or something, it could be a couple spectacle games every now and again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of the making the league bigger, and obviously I think it's quite scary. Like, say that the Celtic have become a bit numb to winning, but at the same time we didn't want to be like a wee team like, I don't know, for example, Hearts, that win a cup and then go on about it 9 years later. I think, as good as 2016 was, we want to be a big team that's regularly winning. Unlike just a random wee team that came to mind there. But yeah. We've got a few people get through today, Douglas. So we'll get your score prediction for Saturday and how you feeling about the game.
I'm pretty nervous. I think I've been to 4 cup finals now in my life, and the only one I've seen as a win was against Kilmarnock when I was 6 or something. So I don't even remember it very well. But I'll say 2-0 with our full strength team. I'm not sure we've ever played them with our full strength team this season, so I'm quite hopeful. I feel like if it goes wrong, then too much to take.
The team, like I say, we're saying that earlier on, the team's in a good place just now. There's a lot of players in good form. There seems to be a bit more balance to the team than there was when we played them in January. Jackson Irvine, I remember, just sort of came in the door. And obviously Nisbet missed the last game in the league. So yeah, I think there's a reason. There's good reason to be confident. And like I said all along, we're winning the cup. It's happening. I'm feeling confident as well. So yeah, thank you very much, Douglas, for joining us, and enjoy the game on Saturday.
Cool. Cheers for having me on, guys.
Cheers, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
See ya.
So I think it's fair to say a lot of us are going to be really nervous on Friday evening. So if you're needing a bit of a distraction, we will be live on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook, twitch.tv/Hibs Talk. We're going to be doing a big quiz. We're going to be doing a big match preview. We'll upload it as a podcast afterwards. So if you're needing a bit of distraction Saturday before the game, but let's face it, we're all going to be drinking and stuff on Saturday. So if you're not listening to it as a podcast on the Saturday, try and get along and watch along live. We'll have the chat as well, so you can interact and play along with the quiz. It should be a bit of fun and a few surprises in there as well. But yeah, looking forward to it. It should be 7 o'clock on Friday evening, twitch.tv/Hibs Talk, as well as YouTube and Facebook. But anyway, on with our final guest, Darren. Phil Thompson joined us to give his thoughts ahead of the game on Saturday. Darren, how are you getting on?
Getting on good, boys. What about yourselves?
Yeah, doing grand.
Doing good, thanks, mate.
So what was it you wanted to have a chat about today? Bit of a silly question, I know. Yeah. What's your thoughts going into the game?
My thoughts are, I'm actually quite confident that I think we'll win it 3-1 or 3-2.
Oh, love the confidence, Darren. Brilliant.
How do you feel about the fact that St Johnstone have won the last 3 meetings against us? Does that give you a bit of hesitation?
No, not really, because obviously I think a lot of pressure's on them, because obviously they've won one. There's a lot of talk that they could do the double, etc. And we saw obviously won it like 5 years ago. The pressure's kind of off us, so we can go in with a wee bit more freedom to the game. And I think if we play the way we did against Dundee United and attack St Johnstone right from the off, then they're going to be up against it, especially if the likes, obviously, Boyle, Nisbet and Doyage, I mean, they've all scored this season, and Nisbet will surely be more confident with his call up to the Scotland squad. So I genuinely think we'll win it.
Loving the
big shout.
confidence.
You're right though what you say. It's a different feeling getting into this cup final because getting into the Rangers one, obviously the hoodoo was still there, and I'll be honest with you, I was nervous before it, but it's a different type of nervous because I just expected to get beat. Because why would you expect to win something you've not won in 114 years? So, but as this time we're getting into this cup final, the hoodoo's off our back. We are favourites. Like it's a weird feeling. So there's maybe no, but I'd say I almost feel more nervous because we're the favourites, though. Yeah, I mean, I've got a different level of expectation going into this one than I have any other final we've been in. So I'm probably not as confident as Darren, but I need to get to that level though, because I want to look forward to it and know he'll be an absolute bag of nerves come kick off.
Absolutely.
Because the strange thing is, we won it on the 21st of May, 2016, and it's going to be the day after, on the 22nd of May. Could we just, make it the 22nd of May this year?
I mean,
And in future years, we've got 2-day rollovers. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. The 22nd of May already kind of fondly remembered by Hibs fans because of the parade and the celebrations and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, why not have 2 days in May to celebrate?
Can I ask you, Darren, what were your thoughts going into the semi-final against St Johnstone in the League Cup? Because I must hold my hands up in there. I was probably a bit too confident going into that to get the knees taken away from me.
I was pretty confident going into that. But then the chances that we missed, it kind of bit us on the backside. And St Johnstone took theirs, rightly so, and we just didn't seem like we were going to score that day.
You mentioned Darren mentioned the pressure there, Dave. I mean, St Johnstone have won the League Cup. Hibs have got third. Is there a bit less pressure in terms of like it's still going to be a good season regardless for both sides, regardless of the result on Saturday? Obviously, we want to win, but is there a bit less pressure there?
Yeah, I would say there's probably it's probably equal. I think equally both will feel like it's an opportunity missed, because they'll be confident. Don't get me wrong. Like they've had a good run in the league. If the league went on any longer, I'd have been concerned how well they were performing. And then obviously winning the cup in the cup final this one, and then we've had good league form and good cup form semi-finals, and then go to the final of this one. So I think both sets of fans will be disappointed if we didn't win, if I'm being honest. But I don't think it'll not be like the absolute end of the world. Like I don't think they'll be calling for heads or that. But I think there'll be an expectation from both sets to win.
Dan, what have you made of Jack Ross's first full season? Now, especially now that the league campaigns, the 38 games have been played.
Brilliant. I mean, from obviously where he has took us, from when the season was it not last, but the season before, when we were sitting 11th, he came in when obviously there was no confidence in the side, to bring confidence, and to where we finished third for the second time since the 04-05 season. And if you actually look at Jack Ross's record with the most, was it away wins or something in a season, I mean, those speak for themselves. I mean, I get why folk were asking for his head with a couple poor results, but you're going to get that. We're not the like, say, Celtic or Rangers. We're not, as folk think, we're like Barcelona at times. We're not that. We're Hibs, and that's why we love it. It wouldn't be Hibs if we didn't have these stumbling blocks along the way, but to where we finished, that just speaks for itself.
I've sort of been called a lot of things in my life, but a glory hunter isn't one of them. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart, it's been a brilliant achievement for Jack Ross. I mean, I guess also Graham Matthew, their first full seasons in their roles. Obviously, Graham Matthew's been at the club a while, but this is his first full season as sporting director. Third in a cup final, potentially, that we're going to win, which, spoiler alert, we are going to win. Not a bad first season, eh?
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. As you said, Matthew knows the kind of the DNA of the club, knows what we're about. So he's not been coming in cold, but getting things like player transfers and getting into a system and working with a coach that understands that does take time. Us football fans were not the best for patience in the world, let's be honest. But no, Matthew and Ross seem to have struck up a very good partnership, and we've already got out there and got some good business in already. I think we're not going to be hanging around in the transfer window. Obviously, good position, European football. I finally saw the finances, and I think it was over £300,000 the difference between finishing third and fourth. That's a massive jump to a club like Hibs, and I trust that we're actually in good hands with that money as well. There's been previous managers that you thought, yeah, well, what are we going to have to do with this? That's why I think we need to give extra credit to Jack Ross, because he's had to do another kind of very quick rebuilding job, and what a turnaround we've had from when he took over, as Darren correctly said.
Yeah. So to finish up then, Darren, you've given us your score prediction already. Who's getting the goals in? You said a 3-1 win. Who's getting the goals for Hibs?
Nisbet, Boyle and Dodge.
46 goals. Why not get to 49? That'd be brilliant. So let's just say to finish up then, where can people find you? I know you've got your YouTube channel. How do they find your YouTube channel and your Facebook?
So they can find my YouTube by typing Darren Phil Thompson, the same as my Facebook. My Twitter's Darren P. Thompson, and my Instagram is all one word, Darren Phil Thompson. And also, I've got my own website. Am I allowed to say
man.
it? Is it all right if I say it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So it's www.shopdarrenthompson.com.
You want to give us your blood type as well, Darren?
No.
Oh, fair enough.
And you try copying me with the hoodie.
I like your style. What can I say? I saw it. I thought, that's the man. I'm gonna try and emulate you.
Oh well.
Brilliant. Well, cheers for that, Darren. You enjoy the game on Saturday, okay?
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. Enjoy, mate.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks again for listening, folks. I have to say I really enjoyed this episode. It's always great to get more people involved and do the phone ins. We really should do them more often. Like I say, the Thank You Rocky episode is up now. Like I say, looking back at the Celtic game, having a bit more of a chat about McGregor and Porteous, which has obviously been covered in this podcast. And we'll be back on Friday, live Twitch and YouTube and Facebook for the quiz and the big match preview. So make sure you join us for that live 7 PM on Friday. If not, it'll be up as a podcast after. But thanks again. Thanks for always listening. Honestly, it means the world. Come on, Hibs on Saturday.